Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is the US Futures weekly chart analysis for the week ending 4th of October 2024. It's been a bit of an eventful week for me this week, but things are almost back to normal now. First chart is the US dollar index futures. That's the wider view. You can see price has been going roughly sideways for an extended period of time. If we come in a bit tighter, you can see price moved higher this week, mostly on the back of a flight to safety or perceived safety in the US dollar. This is the next higher level up here, which price moved up to this week. That goes up to this level here. The next higher level begins here and moves higher. We'd been looking for price to move up to this level for some time now, and it looked like price was going to fail. But with the conflict in the Middle East bubbling away, price has moved higher this week and has tagged this level, and it won't surprise me to see the market consolidate sort of in this level here. We'll see if that happens, but that's where I'm expecting price to go, at least in the near term. Now, the strength in this market has put a lot of the associated markets under some pressure, as you'll see as we move forward. This is the E-mini S&P 500 index futures. You can see price last week jumped higher with a little gap there in here, with a narrow spread on relatively low volume down here. But this week, price has consolidated sideways on an increase in volume, almost up to the average. So it was pretty close to genuine trading, and the consolidation is taking place up there. That makes this price level a little bit more genuine, a little bit more encouraging. Last week, it did look like it was a tentative move higher, and price may come back in response. But this week was a little stronger. US Treasury 10-year note futures. We've seen this market trade pretty consistently for some time now. Just put some lines in so you can see where we've been, where we may be heading. You can see with the strength in the US dollar this week, price has pulled back. Now it's trading adjacent to this little period of consolidation in the background. That's where the move is to now. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see the market consolidate within this bar's range. So within this level here, probably in a similar position to where it is now. If the US dollar just moves a little higher, it's going to be in a position like this. Copper price futures. Copper price futures consolidated right up high in the range this week. Here was the most recent range, and here was the period of consolidation up high in the range, and it's got a breakdown line just there, confirmed there. You can see that where price has consolidated in response to that range. There was some absorption going on through here. Price accelerated higher last week. Now the market's consolidating sideways right up high in that range, which is a good, promising response. And you'll note that not much weakness has emerged in response to the gains in the US dollar, at least not at this point in time. Gold price futures. Gold price futures have really been moving quite steadily higher and have almost been moving independent to the US dollar to some degree. You'll note 2 weeks ago, the market moved higher with a narrow spread on an increase in volume up to about average. And that did look like the market may have to pull back and consolidate to some degree before there was any attempt to move higher. And this week, in response, price has traded roughly sideways and has attempted to consolidate. It's drawn out reduced volume, but the market's effectively been too strong to pull back, and so it's consolidated sideways, level with the previous bar, and pretty much inside its range. And the fact that volume was low suggests that selling pressure is low, and that will open the door for a push higher in response if trading conditions are favourable, and this market is moving higher regardless to some extent of whether trading conditions are favourable, because the market didn't pull back pretty much at all in response to the strength in the US dollar. So this market has underlying strength in it, and given any sort of opportunity, it's probably going to make an attempt to move higher. Silver price futures. Silver price futures are pushing up towards new recent highs. You'll see the market did test for supply below the previous bar's close for a period this week before pushing higher. There was a little supply drawn out. The price did close off its high, but it has moved above this level, which you would mark as the breakout line here. Volume reduced to about average, so this was a genuine push higher. There's nothing hidden in there, or you wouldn't expect so. So I won't be surprised to see the market pull back and test this line for strength. And if the market maintains its strength, which I expect it probably will, it'll make an attempt to push higher in response. Like crude price futures, pretty much traded higher in response to the conflict in the Middle East, I expect this week. Here's the lows of the current range. Prices pushed above the highs of that range. Here's the range here. And it's trading adjacent to this period of consolidation here in the background. It's pushed up with pretty high volume. I won't be surprised to see an initial period of consolidation, possibly in here. And if the market continues to be strong, or if there's an escalation in the tensions in the Middle East, you may see price continue higher. Moving into some currencies now. This is the Euro-US dollar currency pair. And this market was pretty weak this week, to be honest. Here was the old highs of the range, and after some absorption through here, price moved up and established a new high, a new recent high. And this week, price has closed not only below the lows of the range, but below the lows of this up bar here. And that's actually a bit weaker than you would like to see, to be honest. It's in response to the strength in the US dollar, but it's weaker than some of the other charts you'll see in a sec. Prices attempted to consolidate pretty much level with this little period of consolidation and absorption that took place here when price broke out. It's not really a logical level, so you may see price coming back to this sort of level here to consolidate. British pound currency futures. Here was the old highs of the range through here. Some absorption took place through here. Price eventually broke out, came back, tested the breakout line for strength, and then pushed higher, established a new high in here, and then pushed higher again. And this week price has pulled back. Now the euro is traded not only below those lows, and this market has held on to that level, but the euro is trading lower than that bar's low. And so the euro's down at this level here. So you can see how much weaker the euro is and how much stronger this market is for whatever reason. But this market is certainly trading stronger than the euro at the moment. It's held on to the lows of the range through here pretty well. If there's further strength in the US dollar, it may come down further. But at this point, or with the initial push lower, the market's held on to the lows of the range and is nowhere near the lows of this bar, which the euro has pushed below already. So you can see quite clearly how much stronger this market is compared to the euro, at least at this point in time. Japanese yen currency futures also saw people jumping out of their positions and dipping lower. It's closed below where the market was consolidating in here. Here's the last gasp lows. So it's still above those, but only just. Volume wasn't particularly high. You can just see there was no demand in the market, and those people who wanted to sell really forced price to stretch lower in response. Now you can see the market had been previously trading up adjacent to these highs in here, and there was an attempt to push higher briefly here before supply was drawn out, an attempt to recover, and then a push lower, partly in response to the strength in the US dollar, I expect. So there may be an attempt to consolidate in here, but if weakness continues to emerge, price is going to break below this level. It'll be a breakdown then. We'll have to see where price ends up down here. There was some absorption through there and also through there. So they might be two likely levels to look at if price does break down. Aussie dollar currency futures are quite a bit stronger than some of those other markets. You see there was a pullback and very deep shakeout here, but the response was as expected. Price pushed up to the highs of the range, came back. It did dip lower here before accelerating higher again. And this week the market has pulled back in response to the strength in the US dollar, but it remains within this up bars range in here, which is fairly strong. And the market may be attempting to establish a new trading range up above these highs, somewhere between, well, at the moment, 69.5 and 68. We'll just see how that develops over time. But this market is actually trading stronger than expected at the moment, considering the strength in the US dollar. Bitcoin futures. Bitcoin futures failed at the highs of the old range in here, and here was the lows at the time. Now, in the background, we had this level here coming through, and that's where the lows eventually pulled back to. Here, here, slight dip below here, but recovery. And then the price established new highs in here. Last week, price pushed above those highs of the range, but with a narrower spread and an increase in volume. It appeared that supply was being drawn out at that level, which wasn't particularly surprising. And in response, price has pulled back to test the market for supply, or this is a bit of a deeper pullback than that. So it's really more like a shakeout of sorts, or a mini shakeout. But the main thing is that volume was low this week, which suggests that selling pressure was not high as price pulled back. And that opens the door, or offers the opportunity for price to make an attempt to move higher in response if the market considers trading conditions to be favourable. If not, you may find some further consolidation sort of in here like this, while the market waits for the right opportunity to move higher. So the pullback this week on relatively low volume suggests that selling pressure is not overwhelming, and the market may make an attempt to move higher in response when trading conditions are considered favourable. Just back to the US dollar index futures quickly. Pretty obvious where the market's trading at the moment. This is where we were initially looking for price to consolidate in here. It did look weak down here, but it was attempting to hold on. Prices responded this week, mostly due to a flight to safety in response to an escalation in the tensions in the Middle East. Price has moved up to this next higher level and closed right at that level. I expect that that's where the market is going to attempt to move to next week if tensions continue. Next higher level comes through here like this and continues like right up to here. This is the next higher level in here. So I expect the market will attempt to move into this level this week, just above the 102, and then we'll see what happens in the Middle East in the meantime. That's going to continue putting some of the other markets under pressure. But do note that copper, gold, and silver in particular did not succumb to the strength in the US dollar. They traded sideways in consolidation mode or even pushed higher in response. So that's showing you the underlying strength in those markets is overcoming the strength in the US dollar, and they're pushing higher independently. And that really is a sign of strength for those markets. Okay, thanks for your time. We'll see you again next week. See ya.